that class. It was a very favorite haunt of artists at the end of the 19th and into the 20th century. And end of the 19th and into the 20th century, it was a favorite haunt for artists. Picasso hung out here. He made some works of art for the walls, in fact. And what you can see in the sort of stanchion for the entryway into it is the style is very much in keeping with Art Nouveau, this interest in these sort of arabesque lines that excuse me, colored glass, as you can see. So if you get a chance to come back, I would certainly say come back. It's one of the popular haunts of the Gothic quarter. Okay? All right, we're going to go this way. Four cats.
Barcelona, Catedral.
You videotaping it?
Oh wow, Ash, look. Who's Dali?
I just wanted to stop here because last time I was in Barcelona, this was the Dalí Museum, and I think it moved, I'm pretty sure it moved outside. I was doing a little bit of research on things you can do in your free time, and I'm pretty sure it moved outside of Barcelona. I'm thinking this probably used to say the Dalí Museum. If you look inside, you can see Dalí. Maybe they've kept some of Dalí. You might, on your free time, want to sort of peek in. If I'm remembering correctly, it's expensive. You might want to ask if it's Dalí before you go in. If it's Dalí and you like Dalí, I would suggest that you go in. It's like being in one of his paintings. It's this weird, surreal, theatrical environment with these red walls and these sort of dripping red tapestries, and it is really, really bizarre. But check it out if you're interested in that. Have you gone? Yeah, I've been there before.
Sort of reminds me of Burn, you know. Whoa!
Right, exactly. Square, I will tell you, it gets really active around what we call our happy hour. If you come into this square, be very careful. It's filled with pickpockets, okay? So make sure you're attentive to your goods, okay? We're going to go in here, and then we're going to look at some old Roman remains. These are Roman remains here, of course. Remember, we talked about how the Roman entryway, which is over here, was joined to the Bishop's Palace, which is part of Le Seu, right, the seat in Catalan. It means the seat of the bishop, of course. So we've got the cathedral here. You're going to see many churches in this town, and this is really their official cathedral. They're sort of the Gaudi, the Sagrada Familia is considered sort of the third basilica, yeah? The basilica, as a reminder, is the seat of the bishop. You can see, right, the bishop's an important guy, right? And so you can see the sort of grandness of the facade suggesting his position and his authority within the church. It is in what style does anybody recognize? Gothic. The Gothic style. So what are some of the elements of the Gothic cathedral that we see here? Very nice. The pointed arch or the Gothic arch. Excellent. Jessica, what else?
The spire.
Yep, we see monumental sculpture that are in these sort of vegetal forms, yeah?
Like 3 to 4 things.
Where do you see? Oh, quatrefoils you see. Yes, yes, yes. What she's talking about, they look like four-leaf clovers, yeah? Done in the stone tracery just above that tympanum that's made out of what? Stained glass, yeah? Traditionally, in that tympanum, that sort of triangular shape above the doorway, starting with the Romanesque and even into the Gothic period, it's sculpture. In the high Gothic period, before we move into the Renaissance, we see these portals becoming sculptural. Look at how the doorway comes out from the building itself, and that sculpture that's in the tympanum is replaced by stained glass because the sculpture becomes the portal itself, okay? So we want to certainly think about that when we're looking at the main facade. You can see, of course, that the entire thing is punctured with stained glass, and it's because of the building. We've got flying buttresses on either side that basically allow the architects to not have the walls be load-bearing. Remember, in the Music Palace, she talked about how we've got iron that creates this structure, and then they can just add to it. That's basically the same thing here. They've come up with a new type of vaulting system and exterior buttresses that hold the whole thing up, so the walls don't have to carry the weight of the structure. What that means is they can just puncture it and fill it with stained glass. Does anybody remember what the light inside coming through the stained glass is called? Lux Nova. And what does that mean, Sarah?
That's the light of God.
The light of God, yeah? This idea of paradise on earth inside of these forests of Catholicism, okay? We're going to go inside and certainly talk about what's going on inside the structure, okay? The other thing I want to tell you have nothing to do with art history, but just across the way you see that ice cream cone?
Yes.
In my opinion, the best ice cream in Barcelona is right there, just
Awesome.
FYI. Okay, remember,
Good tip.
of course, wow. I just want to give you guys a sense of orientation. The Las Ramblas is over here, where we're going to end up ultimately. It's a big sort of shopping street. There are lots of performers. Just behind this 19th century building that you see is another main palazzo where you can eat. It's a big tourist stop. We're going to stop there. We've just come, of course, from the entry into the Gothic Center. This is a contemporary square with government buildings. This is another square that is really sort of packed at night, and people move through it very quickly. This is another square you want to see. That street right there, the next one over, right to your right. If you go up that street on the left,
Right in the middle of a modern city
Corinthian,
like
correct.
Barcelona. It's 2,000 plus years old.
There's a nice image over here, as you can see what would have been the entryway into this temple, which is, of course, inspired by the Greek temples, yeah? It's typical of the Roman temples, as you can see. Left of what's left here, and then the entire community up on a podium right there.
Wow. Can't wait right now. Starbucks, there has to be one everywhere.
We're about to hit Las Ramblas. These streets are not labeled. We're about to hit Las Ramblas. There's the street. We started with the cathedral, which is quintessential High Gothic and really European High Gothic. Remember, we talked about how the Spanish style of Gothic is more in a Romanesque style than a true European Gothic. And you'll see how blocky this is in reference to the Gothic that we started out with. Yeah? You see that tympanum is filled with stone. It probably actually originally had stone sculpture in it. But you'll notice that aside from that large rose window, which is often considered to be one of the largest rose windows in Western Europe, certainly in Spain, it's just a mass of stonework, in fact, and we don't have a lot of decorative detail. There's not a lot of filigree, and what we see here really is more in keeping with what is the Spanish style of Gothic architecture. Heavy, blocky, right? Not a lot of spires or flying buttresses. And it still, however, reflects what's happening on the inside. We've got the main portal and those two side areas. What we have also are these sort of pseudo towers rather than these enormous spires at the top. So while there are elements of Gothic, there's that trifoil, I think that Amber was referring to in that Gothic arch, right, rather than the quatrefoil. While we have the tympanum with the pointed arch at the top, well, we have door jambs on either side. Those are those columns on either side of the door itself. The enormous stained glass window. It's not sort of the quintessential European style of Gothic, which is really more punctured and decorated. It's really more Romanesque, in fact, than it is Gothic because of the heavy masonry. I do see that it's supposed to be open at 4 o'clock, so let's wait a bit. That guy's standing there impatient. We'll let him do our dirt.
So here we are, roof terrace of La Pedrera, a very famous place nowadays. But again, as we had with the attic, not a place that was used for pleasure. Building, you close the building, you put the flag on it and you toast to wish for good health. It's a superstition. Now that, my friends, is a mosaic made of bottles of cava, which is with what we toast. Champagne. It's cheap. Fire is able to change, that can adapt to the times that are to come. He said, and this we know, that he thought that La Pedrera may become a hotel someday, so he wanted it to have the possibility to become one. We have mentioned these sliding doors, we will see them again, to use the space in a different way, to change the space. But the sliding doors also prove that the walls around us are empty. They are not needed for structure. Where does the weight lie then? Only in the outer wall, not the facade, the outer wall, the inner wall of the courtyard, and columns like this one that you see behind this door. All the rest you could take out and organize in a different way. This is a shift in value. This is changing the way to think of your work as it is, you know, giving a new philosophy to it. And he was one of the first that really put that in place in La Pedrera, at least in Barcelona. This was really uncommon. Well, with this I finish. If there are no more questions, I hope you enjoyed it and you had a good time.
It's not the pointed arch anymore. Another change if we compare a Gothic church and Sagrada Familia. First thing for Gaudí, as you have seen, is the lights, but second thing, very important, is the acoustics, the sound. So that's why we have a huge balcony for the choir for 1,500 singers, and can be a place surrounding the whole church so that the sound surrounds the place. Lights and sounds. Looking at the sides, you will see some windows with names. Those are names of saints, and on top names of sanctuaries to churches around the world. We don't have the states yet, but we have Ephesus, Nazareth, Fatima in Portugal. They are pretty famous. This one, or on the stained glass window, we have France, we have Chapel. Also very, very important.
Yeah, me too. Figure it out.
I like these drawings.
Yeah. You know, everyone loves those things.
Oh.
Alright guys, it's okay.
Turbulence.
It's somebody's like, and it's kind of like a place where a lot of locals go to, and the guy who owns the guy who owns the restaurant, they have a sack, and they started playing afterwards, so it was really nice. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. You're getting in the way of my shot, bro.
Keep walking. I like the way you can't really see it, and then they put it in the radiant where it's on.
Yeah.
Like that.
So funny. This kid's going back and
It is so funny.
so I got
What do you like for dinner?
Jay, what do you want for dessert?
Let's try
Stracciatella.
ice cream. Okay, thank you.
Chocolate chip ice cream.
Okay.
Oh, I have your attention. Okay, so here's a toast to Dr. Lammers for getting us to this restaurant. And here's to a great team of students who made the trip quite enjoyable for myself and Dr. Lammers. Here's hoping we all get home from this restaurant.
Cheers.
To make this a memorable experience for all of the students and for the rest of us, Edith, Tim, and I, who came along for the pleasure. We learned a lot, we shared a lot, and I think we truly have appreciated Spanish history and culture. Thank you, Dr. Newman and Dr. Mike.